boys, thanks for sitting down with us. Wycombe Fulham in the Carabao coming up shortly. What were your emotions when you saw that draw come out of the hat?
Go on, Skip.
Yeah, it was a good one, to be fair. I was just saying I haven't played them in a competitive match since I left. So it'd be nice to, really test yourself against, the club's done incredibly well over the last couple of years, especially to sustain in the Premier League at such a good level. So yeah, it's an exciting night, and hopefully we can pack at Arms Park, and it'll be a great atmosphere.
So, Cauley, I thought you were cut tie for this because you played for Luton in one of the earlier rounds before coming on loan to Wycombe. There's been a rule change this season, so you must be buzzing about that.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, in previous years, obviously, if you played for your parent club, then you weren't allowed to play. But yeah, no, thankfully this year, hopefully be able to play, and look forward to it. As like Jack said, it's obviously a long time since we were there together, and Fulham's come a long way since then. But really look forward to it.
How much do you enjoy being teammates again?
Good. It is good. We've kept in touch over the years, different clubs, cross paths a few times, and then I kind of spoke to Dan Rice about it a few times, and I would have loved to have had Cauley back and playing with him as a teammate, and thankfully this summer managed to make it happen on deadline day. So it's it's good. It's brings back a lot of memories of good times coming through at Fulham, and it's hopefully he can help contribute to a successful season for us. So it'll be good.
Dan, of course, who's CEO now at Wycombe, and he was a big part of your academy journeys, right?
He was, yeah. He was one of the first people I met when I came to England, which is crazy how full circle that can be. He's done, a hell of a job at Wycombe. The club's came. I've been here now 7 seasons, and the journey the club's been on is incredible. And a lot of it started with the Kuwags before, and then a lot of it is when Dan and the ownership group took over, and it's taken the club. You're seeing the training ground and things now. It's on to a sort of an elite level, if you like, and he's done an amazing job around the place, that's for sure.
Is it fair to say you guys kind of grew up together at Fulham? I know you had your various loan spells and whatnot, but you did spend time in the same age groups, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, you always heard me shouting at him from this from the back. But yeah, no, it was good. I say that Cauley was one of the first people I met as well, coming down, a young lad from Scotland, and I think I was very lucky at the time because Fulham had a lot of great people at the club. We were speaking off camera about how many nice, good people I met when I came down, and I think it helped me settle in really well. And I'd have liked to have played more for the club, but I think what I learned off the field was just as valuable, I think, and has sort of stood me in good stead for my career.
Yeah, I was going to ask how you look back on your time in the Fulham Academy.
Yeah, just fondly, really, to be honest. Like Jack said, I mean, the group of sort of that era of players that played together, Jack, myself, what do we have? We had Dan Burn, players like that who've gone on to have fantastic careers, and there's obviously other players I haven't mentioned, but just real good people, like Jack said, and we had a lot of successful times together, sort of in the youth side of football, and then obviously progressing into the first team like we did together. I mean, a lot of clubs probably maybe one player might bump up to the first team on their own, but we were quite fortunate probably at Fulham that we got to kind of do that journey together. Even though we were sort of different ages at the times, but yeah, it probably made that transition a little bit easier, didn't it? I think.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, I just love my time there, and now playing again with Jack, I think over 10 years later is it's amazing, and feels like you're not really been away from people that like, even though you don't see, you cross paths like Jack said over the years, but. Yeah, it's just felt like I'd seen him every day when I came back into Wycombe, and he made me feel welcome here, so it was nice.
When I first joined the club, that was when you guys were in these youth teams, and it felt like every other week we were writing about you winning something. I remember Cauley, you captained the side for the league title. Jack, you did the same with the Dallas Cup. It was just such a successful time for the academy, wasn't it?
It was, and I think I think academies sort of branch their success off of like how many players play for the first team, but what I find interesting is how many of those players have went on to have established careers. Some in the, like you mentioned, Dan Burn in the Premier League, but others like myself, League One, Championship. Cauley's played in the Prem, and there's a few players there's a lot of players from that era then went on, and I think that's one of the biggest successes from that group is that they've went on to sustain careers in the game, whatever the level has been. And like I said, it probably stemmed from the club at the time, had great people behind the scenes at it. Like I say, I think it's the same now, and it's something that gave us a sort of solid foundation to then feel comfortable, to then settle in quite quickly, and then sort of build from there. So yeah, it was very fond memories from it.
So we'll talk a bit about your senior breakthroughs at Fulham. Cauley, you made your debut first. It's actually Felix Magath who gave you the chance, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Wow, I remember him.
I think we all do, to be fair. No, it was a strange time because I've actually been on loan to Southend that season in League Two, and I struggled, to be fair, like physically and stuff like that. Probably wasn't ready, and come back to Fulham, and then I was offered to St Johnstone in Scotland. A lot of people probably wouldn't know this story, but I flew to Scotland, and Kit Simons at the time, he knew the manager at St Johnstone. He said to go there on loan for the rest of the season. I flew there, and it just didn't feel right, and I just said it's not for me. I'd rather sort of probably stay in the 23s, so at the end of the season, wait till the summer. And then Felix Magath got the job, and I think 4 or 5 weeks later, I started in the Premier League, which is crazy because I was struggling in League Two really, and then to go from that to the Premier League, I think the lads at Southend must have been thinking, Jesus Christ, how does he manage that? But no, it was good story, and it was probably good because I just got thrown in, and it was obviously the club was struggling at the time, which wasn't great, but the players that were at the club at that moment, sort of international players, top players, really helped me, and it was a really good time for me.
I remember Felix's style of levels used to be very hard to predict. We used to call it Felix Bingo. So that game with Cardiff, where the front two is yourself and Kostas Mitroglou, who would never start a game for either, it sort of came out of nowhere.
I remember it was my first ever time travelling with the first team as well. So I remember speaking to my mum and stuff like that at the time, and I was just saying like, I'll probably be 19th man, or I'll be in the stand watching, whatever, like stuff like that. And then we had the meeting literally half an hour before we left, and you put the team up, and I was starting. I remember, and like the lads were all looking at me. I remember like Sidwell and Benty, like people out looking at me like, is he starting up front? But yeah, like I said, that the people, I remember at the time, literally before the game, like Darren Bent comes sat next to me, and he was sitting on the bench, and he comes sat next to me and spoke to me and gave me some nice words, and which he didn't have to do really, because I was taking his place at that moment. So it just showed, the good people that were at the club, like Jack said a minute ago. That made me feel comfortable and just go out and enjoy the game.
Yeah, obviously we lost that game, but you obviously did well enough to keep the shirt because you played against Newcastle at home the next week when we get an important win. I remember you giving Colaccini a torrid time. It was like top of his game at that point, so that must be quite nice memories for you.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was good memories, and like I say, it was probably a good thing I was just thrown in really, but I think the players that I had around me definitely made it probably a little bit easier, because there was some top players at Fulham at that time, and I know that we got relegated that year, but it wasn't probably a true reflection of how good the squad was. So yeah, just I do remember that day, and I scored a goal as well. I think it was offside, wasn't it? But yeah, no, it was good day, good times, and times that I look back on with just so much happiness really.
As you say, it was a disappointing season, get relegated, but final day of the season, you and Chris David both scored, so it was like since two academy products get their first Premier League goal. Yeah,
definitely. Another player there, Chris David, big talent that he was.
Palace. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Big talent he was, and it was. I remember that day. I remember thinking like maybe it was my last ever Premier League game. It could have been, and because you never know, getting back to the top level is so difficult. But yeah, to score that day, it was a dream come true. I think anyone to score in the play in the Premier League, but just to score really topped it off, to be honest. And obviously, like you said, it was a bad day for the club because we did get relegated. But on a personal note, it was something that will stick with me forever. And just great memories.
And Jack, you made your debut the following season. It's almost similar circumstances. You're doing well on loan at Shrewsbury, I believe.
Yeah.
And then Kit gets the job, and I'm guessing he was like, this is someone who can add to my squad for them.
Yeah. I think you always need that element of luck in football, and I think that situation was my element of luck. I think I'd went out on loan and was doing well and enjoying it, and just got that bit of confidence, I think, in men's football that I needed. And then, like you said, Kit got the job with Reedy at the time, and then pulled me back, and I think it was Brighton away, which I think we won.
I remember that.
Last Christensen
scored late on.
Yeah, which was, again, I joined, for me it was special because it was my debut, of course, but then I joined similar time to Lasse Christensen as well, so I felt like we had that sort of in common. And he's also went on to have a great career back in Denmark. So it's like, it was one of those that Benty actually scored against us as well.
We did, yeah.
I remember the film. I was good. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and I mean, to make it obviously such an iconic stadium and things, and yeah, it was a moment that I felt like I'd worked towards for a long time. So having joined the club a few years previous and things, and I think when you go on loan, you kind of feel like your chance is gone and you've kind of missed it. So I'll be forever grateful to Kit for pulling me back off loan and giving me my debut, and then giving me the chance to sort of finish that season off, which was, again, I think it was a turbulent time for the club, because I feel like there was a lot of transition, a lot of players coming and going, and it was in a real sort of rebuild. And then I think that's probably why a lot of youth then got their chance, like myself included in that. And I feel like we probably found it harder coming into that team because it wasn't such a settled team. But then again, you love just to get every minute that you can on the pitch for a club like Fulham. It's a great achievement. Yeah,
I think Kit obviously deserves a lot of credit for steadying the ship that season that we're talking about there. But
yeah, just definitely.
Even going back further than that, how much of an impact did he have on your respective careers?
Yeah, massive. I think William Kinley was one of the first coaches I met when I came down, and then Kit was then majority of the time the under-21s, under-23s coach. So he's the one that you're with every day. And he's the one that's really trying to talk you through things. I remember discussing loans with him, and like you said, their Kit helped you maybe try to get to St Johnstone and things, and he was always willing to help. And I think you're right, I don't think he gets the credit that he probably deserves for the time during that period, because he did manage to steady it a little bit, because you see it with clubs that come down, things don't go well, they can easily then, it can go even worse, you know what I mean? And he's was one of my, if not the first coach I had when I came down. So I think I've always got that nice relationship with him, for sure.
I was looking at games that you both played in for Fulham, and one of the ones that came up was FA Cup replay at Molineux.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
A snowy day.
Mad day, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
It was class. I seen a photo of that.
Shoot out, yeah.
That was one of those games. It was like the coldest game ever. And then I think Bettinelli had a photo of it, and it was like this, you couldn't see anything on the pitch because the snow was just mental, and then it just disappeared.
I remember in the game, I think Danny Bath and I think Steers was playing for Wolves at the time, wasn't he? The back. Yeah, I remember literally it got to like 85 minutes and we couldn't see, could we?
Yeah.
And I remember, I think Steers said to me, he was like, when he was on the ball, he just said to me, please, just don't come down. Just, you have the ball, I'll have the ball. Like, he was just playing the game with me. It was that bad. And the ref probably could have called it off. But the game had gone so far, because we went into extra time, didn't we?
And we won on pens.
Yeah, we won on pens, but I think if that had been in 20, 30th minute, that game would have been off, I think. But it'd gone such a way, hadn't it, that it was a good night. That I think it was cold, but yeah, no, good night.
Good job I didn't get called off. Your 2 goals of it.
I know, and then you had to go back to Molineux on Tuesday night again. So and thankfully we won and we got through.
I think 3-0 was it? 3-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, Russell Gomez scored a 120-minute penalty.
Yeah.
And then it went to pens, and then did we not get Sunderland in the next round?
Yeah, we did. I remember
we drew at Bayern and got beat at home, didn't we? Yeah.
That's
how good the round is, actually. But that's always one of the nights that stick out in my mind, is just how crazy that game was. With the weather just sort of chucked on top of everything, you know what I mean? It was good. Really good.
Aside from each other, who from your Fulham days are you guys still close with?
I mean, I still speak to a few of the lads, like Jack said. I speak to Betts and stuff like that. I speak to TC. Obviously, he's still at Fulham.
Smudge.
Yeah, Matt Smith, Patrick Roberts, obviously crossed paths with him quite a lot. I spoke to Musa a little bit at times, obviously Jack. But yeah, I mean, I'm not super close with anyone, but whenever we cross paths and see each other and stay in contact, it is really, really nice. So
I think you've got a different sort of relationship with players, like when you are younger with them, because I think you're both in that situation that you're like unsure about, the first team and getting your chance and things like that. So it is still, I think that sort of group is like players that, if I see them, then I would still want to catch up and things. Yeah, definitely.
Let's speak about Wycombe. Desperately unlucky not to win the playoff final last season. It's obviously early days this season, but what will be our ambitions this summer?
Yeah, thanks for bringing up the playoffs out of it now. I mean, Dan Rice and the ownership group are very they've done all they can, I think, off the pitch, and you see with the investment that they've put in, I think it's the ambition of this club is to get sustainable, I would think, into the Championship, sustain, and then go from there. I think you see it with Cauley at Luton, just what can be achieved with the right stability in the right direction, and everyone working going in the same direction. And I think to fall short last season was obviously tough to take, and I think we had a bit of a hangover of that coming into this season, which is sadly why we've had a slow start. But I feel like we know the quality that we've got in the building, and I think you can see the league now is very tight. And I think there'll be a team that puts runs together that then starts to climb the league quite quickly. So I think it's inevitably, we don't sign players like Cauley if you're wanting to stay in League One, with all due respect. But I think the ambition is to definitely get to the Championship and sustain.
And we spoke earlier about how you both captained Fulham at youth level. As of last summer, you were club captain here, Jack. How proud a moment was that for you?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, it was really... it was a moment that, I'd been here for a long time and I'd had great captains before me, so I felt a lot of pressure to sort of maintain that level of consistency. I was very fortunate. I had great experience to lean on last season, and I think it's only something that stands you in good stead. But I think it's same with Cauley as well, with Barnsley. I think the players that came through that time at Fulham, like Dan Burn and things like that, and Betts was even captain teams, I think it shows you the characters that the club are bringing in at the time. And it's no coincidence that, you've captained clubs, I've captained clubs, and it's I think it shows a good sign of the people that were there at the time. But yeah, lucky, I feel very fortunate to captain anyone's a great achievement for sure.
Is he a good captain to play under?
Bang on. Top. Best one I've ever had.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. See, do mind it. I'll pay you later.
What are you guys expecting from the cup game against Fulham?
Not to see the ball for 90 minutes? No.
Look, I'll score a little hat-trick, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
You're not cock-tied. You can go bag the winner.
No, listen, it's it'll be a great day, but obviously we want to win and we want to get through to the next round. That's going to be our goal. It'll be obviously nice to see some familiar faces and things like that, but once we cross that line, I think it's game on, and hopefully we can get to the next round. Obviously Fulham are going to be favourites for that tie, but we'll give everything we can to do our very best and make an exciting match.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a really lively atmosphere at 90 minutes from the quarterfinals, both of us, so should make for a really great occasion.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've seen in the last round, was it Cambridge, I think, that you beat in the last round? It was only 1-0, and they then gave a really good performance, and that was at Craven Cottage. So I feel like when, we know the levels that Fulham bring, but I feel like it's cliche that on our day we could probably beat anyone at Adams Park. I've seen us run teams close before, and yeah, it'll be a great atmosphere. And like you said, you're one game away from the quarterfinals, which both teams want to get towards, and we'll go out and, like you say, give it our best shot, and it'll be a really enjoyable night, hopefully.